The rain had been falling since morning, tracing slow rivers down the window panes as if the sky itself couldn't stop crying. I hadn't planned to visit her that day. In truth, I'd promised myself I never would again. Too much had been said, and even more had been left unsaid. But something about that gray afternoon, the silence, the loneliness, the weight of memories pressing against my chest, made me pick up my car keys and drive to the old neighborhood. Maybe it was guilt, maybe longing, or maybe, deep down, I knew this might be my last chance to say goodbye. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, take a moment right now, like, comment, share, and subscribe, because stories like this remind us how fragile and beautiful life truly is. The small house on the corner looked older now, its paint faded, the porch creaking under the weight of time. I stood there for a long while, staring at the door I'd once walked through countless times, carrying flowers, laughter, and dreams. Today, I carried nothing. Just a hesitant heart and a few trembling words. I just wanted to say hello. When the door opened, I almost didn't recognize her. The vibrant woman who used to chase after me barefoot through summer fields was now sitting in a wheelchair, her hair silver and eyes tired yet still warm. For a moment, we just looked at each other, and in that silence, years of distance spoke louder than words. She smiled faintly, and with a voice that cracked through time itself, she whispered, "Why don't you stay a little longer?" Something inside me broke then. I hadn't expected her to ask that. I thought I'd come, leave a few polite words, and disappear again into the comfortable safety of my busy life. But now, standing there, I felt the weight of every lost year pressing against my chest. I nodded and followed her inside. The living room smelled the same, lavender and old wood. The photos on the wall were still there, birthdays, summer picnics, a graduation photo with my awkward smile and her proud eyes. But there were also new ones I wasn't part of, nieces, nephews, neighbors, lives that had gone on without me. I sat down on the couch where I'd once fallen asleep after long talks, my head in her lap, her fingers gently tracing through my hair. Now, her hands trembled slightly as she poured tea into two mismatched cups. She asked about my life, my job, my friends. I answered in short, careful sentences, as if afraid too many words might reopen old wounds. She listened, nodding slowly, her gaze soft and distant. Then she said something I wasn't ready for. "You always leave before I can tell you I forgive you." My throat tightened. For years I'd carried the guilt of leaving her when she needed me most. I was young, angry, and convinced that love wasn't enough to fix what was broken. She'd begged me to stay back then. I'd slammed the door instead. I'd built a life far away, one full of noise and people, but every quiet night had echoed with her voice. Now, sitting across from her again, I realized forgiveness wasn't something she owed me. It was something she'd already given, long before I ever asked for it. We talked for hours, about the past, about the dreams we'd both lost and the ones we'd quietly built without each other. She showed me her garden through the window, small but full of color. "I kept it alive," she said, "because I knew one day you might come back." That sentence alone unraveled me. I hadn't thought she'd ever wait for me. I hadn't thought I was worth waiting for. As the rain eased outside, she told me about her health. It wasn't good. The doctors had given her a year at best, maybe less. She said it casually, as though she were talking about the weather. But I saw the faint tremor in her hand, the flicker in her eyes. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to someone who once meant everything, and now might soon be gone? So I did the only thing that felt right. I stayed. I stayed that evening. We watched old movies together, the kind we used to laugh about. She fell asleep halfway through, her head resting gently on my shoulder, and I just sat there, memorizing every wrinkle, every line of her face. It struck me how fragile she'd become, how time steals little pieces of us without asking. Over the next few weeks, I found myself coming back again and again. I'd bring groceries, fix the leaky roof, sit by her side while she read her favorite poetry. She'd tell me stories from her youth, how she'd fallen in love, how she daydreamed of traveling, how she'd waited for a letter that never came. I knew exactly which letter she meant. Each day, I stayed a little longer than before. I stopped checking my phone during our talks, stopped rushing home to my empty apartment. She filled the silence in my life in a way no one else ever had. It was as if the universe had pressed pause on everything else, giving us one last chapter we both desperately needed. But love, even in its purest form, can't stop time. One day, I came by and found her sitting quietly on the porch, looking at the sunset. She smiled when she saw me, but there was something different about her that evening, a stillness, a peace. "I had a dream last night," she said softly. "You were little again, running in the rain, and I was chasing after you. I think that's how I'll remember you." I wanted to say something, anything, but the lump in my throat wouldn't let me. I just held her hand, and we watched the sun melt into the horizon. She leaned her head against my shoulder and whispered, "Thank you for coming back." That night she passed away in her sleep, peacefully, without pain. I found her the next morning, her hand still resting gently on a half-finished letter addressed to me. I sat there for hours reading it over and over. It wasn't long, just a few lines. You never needed to say sorry. You came back and that was enough. Don't live your life running anymore. Stay. Wherever love finds you, stay. The funeral was small. Just family and a few neighbors. I didn't speak much, but as they lowered her to rest, I realized something profound. I hadn't come back just to say hello. I'd come back to learn what it meant to truly stay, to be present, to forgive, to love without fear. After that, I couldn't go back to my old life. The office meetings, the deadlines, the endless scrolling through a life that felt empty, it all seemed meaningless now. So, I left the city and moved into her house. I fixed it up, planted new flowers in her garden, and every morning I'd make 2 cups of tea, one for me and one for her. People often ask why I live alone in that quiet house, why I smile when I talk about someone who's no longer here, and I tell them this. Some goodbyes don't end with leaving. Some stay with you, like a soft echo in your chest, reminding you that love never really goes away, it just changes form. Every now and then, I still hear her voice in the wind, gentle and kind, saying, "Why don't you stay a little longer?" And I do, because now I know. The greatest gift you can give someone isn't grand gestures or promises you can't keep. It's your time, your presence, your willingness to stay even when it's hard. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe so more people can hear stories that remind us how powerful forgiveness, love, and second chances can be. And before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Comment below, have you ever wished you'd stayed a little longer with someone before it was too late? As I place fresh flowers on her grave every Sunday, I think about how one simple visit changed everything. I dropped by just to say hello, but in truth, that day I found my way home.